हेलो फ्रेंड्स, केजी क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम आपको ऑफ ट्रबल के क्वेश्चन आंसर बताएंगे बाई फ्रांसिस बेकन के अनुसार। क्वेश्चन: राइट एन एसे ऑन द प्रैक्टिकल विजडम फाउंड इन द एसे ऑफ बेकन विद रेफरेंस टू द एसे यू हैव रीड, और discuss that the essay of Bacon constitute a handbook of practical wisdom, or the essays of Bacon are concerned only with worldly wisdom and the art of success. Discuss. Heading: Introduction. There is no doubt that the essays of Bacon are a treasure house of worldly wisdom. Worldly wisdom means the kind of wisdom that is necessary for worldly success. Worldly wisdom does not mean any deep philosophy or any ideal morality. It simply means that art that a man should use to get success in his life. The essays of Bacon deals with this type of wisdom. A critic comment: Bacon's essays are concerned only with worldly wisdom and the art of success. In this essay, Bacon appears before his readers as a man of the world, a moralist and a statesman. He was a man of wisdom and discretion, a keen observer of men and things. So he presents before us specimens of that wisdom arising out of his life experience and his penetrating insight into the affairs of the world, specimens that come home to man's business and bosoms, dispersed meditation which grow out of his observation and interpretation of life. In his essay, he is really concerned with deals that are actually realizable in life and in the world of action, with the philosophy of human conduct or gospel of getting on. His is a new morality for the man of action. Heading: A philosopher and moralist. Bacon is clearly seen in his essays as a philosopher and a moralist. A philosopher is a person who is deeply interested in search of truth, and a moralist is a person who gives the message to humanity, to mankind. Bacon appears as a philosopher and as a moralist in many of his essays. In the essay of Truth, he points out that truth is the supreme good for human beings. In his essay of Studies, he points out that study is very essential for the development of a personality. In this essay, he presents a message of morality that without study, true knowledge of life is not possible. Like a philosopher, he thinks that man must have a good character, and study affects the character very much. In his essays, Bacon takes up the role of a practical morality. He presents a philosophy of his own. According to Hugh Walker, as a moralist, Bacon makes no pretense to system. To do so would have been to write something different from an essay as he conceived it. Walker further writes he has no such hope with regard to the principle of morals. It is clear that he was certain of the existence of principle of absolute validity. The essays seem to be work of an opportunist. Bacon admires truth, moral as well as intellectual. Heading: A practical outlook. Bacon is a remarkable prose writer in English literature because he presents the practical outlook of life. He only presents that art which is necessary for the success of human life. He always seeks the profit of every subject for the welfare of mankind. His outlook becomes the outlook of the most successful worldly person. For this, he uses his sharp imagination and keen wit. In fact, wit is more important for him than the imagination. For example, in Essays of Studies, he points out that there are three purposes of study. First, it gives us delight. Secondly, it has an ornament value. And thirdly, it increases the ability. The writer further comments that there are different types of books and very few of them deserve sincere reading. Thus, in every sentence, the writer has the appeal of worldly success. He comments, some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. In this essay, Bacon has made striking observations in various aspects of man's personal and social life. What he gives the impression of singular aloofness from moral consideration. His essays are packed with worldly wisdom. His maxims are prudential. He appears to be looking down with absolute dispassionateness from a height in determining what course of conduct pays best. He condemns cunning not as a thing loathsome and vile, but as a thing unwise. Occasionally, he even lays down the rules for immoral conduct without a word of overt disapproval. Having a suitable prose style. Bacon uses very suitable prose style which expresses the thoughts of practical wisdom. He employs only those words which are spoken in practical life. His language remains simple, clear, and impressive. Another important aspect of his prose style is that he makes the best use of aphoristic style. In few words, he tries to express the depth of his thoughts. He never wastes even a single word. That is why in his essay every word is important. In order to prove his argument, he also uses allusions. The Bible and the Latin literature are the best sources for him in this regard. He also gets a proper guideline from Latin literature. Bacon is perhaps seen at his best in his role as a statesman, even though we may not totally agree with his political view. Still, there is no denying the fact that they are the views of a prudent political thinker and statesman. The essays of Plantation contain sound political principles whose validity cannot be called into question. Heading a conclusion. Bacon's essays are not much concerned with the moral value of life, but they are more concerned with the practical outlook of life. In his essays, Bacon presents himself neither as a philosopher nor as a moralist, but he always reveals his personality as a guide. He becomes a guide for those people who want to get the worldly success. His presentation of practical wisdom differs from that of other writers like Addison, Swift, Lamb, and Priestley, who are also witty figures, but their wit intends to reform the society. Bacon's wisdom takes us to the world of practical wisdom and worldly success. The fact is that he gives much importance to the morality and the truth of human life, but he is more a man of the world than philosopher is in his essays. Question 3. Examine Bacon's character and personality on the basis of his essays you have read, or evaluate Pope's assessment of Bacon as the wisest, brightest, meanest of mankind. Heading an introduction. Bacon possessed a dual personality. He was a mental giant, but a moral dwarf. According to W. J. Long, in Bacon we see one of those complex and contradictory natures which are the despair of biographer. Further, the same critic adds Bacon was apparently one of those double natures that only God is component to judge, because of the strange mixture of intellectual strength and moral weakness that is in them. Critics have given their view on both the sides of the character of Bacon, whereas Ben Jonson has praised Bacon's power and ability. Helen has condemned him as a man who, being entrusted with the highest gift of heaven, habitually abused them for the poorest purpose on earth, hired them out of genuine places and titles in the service of injustice, covetousness, and oppressions. Pope, the great 18th century poet, also had these two opposing aspects of Bacon's personality when he wrote these lines. If parts allures thee, think how Bacon signed the wisest, brightest, meanest of mankind. Heading the wisest and the brightest. According to Pope, Bacon was the wisest and the brightest person. Pope's assessment of Bacon is just and judicious. Bacon was really a very virulent and knowledgeable man. He made knowledge his province. His first object was to acquire knowledge which increases man's empire over the earth. At the age of 30, he wrote to Burleigh, I have as vast contemplative ends as I have moderate civil ends, for I have taken all knowledge to be my province. The fertility of Bacon's mind was amazing. According to Scamps, Bacon stands second in intellectual power only to Shakespeare. He was a man of towering intellect. It is impossible to study even the outline of his subject, which cover almost every aspect of life. Francis Bacon was an eloquent orator. He had an amazing command of language, which he could use profusely to serve his own purpose. Speaking of his power of eloquence and ability, Ben Jonson says, no man ever spoke more neatly, more weighty, or suffered less emptiness, less and less in what he uttered. In the field of literature, his achievements are marvelous. Not only in the field of science and philosophy, but in this field also he attained great brilliance. He is undisputedly known as the father of the English essay. No doubt he borrowed the form from the French writer Montaigne, but he filled it with the matter of his own brain, heading the meanness of his character. Bacon is also considered as the meanest of mankind. Macaulay took him to be an example of a shining intellect joined to a base and object moral character. According to Dr. Abbott, Bacon was intended to be a prophet of science, a mouthpiece of the discoveries of time, but fate diverted him to the petty details of a lawyer's, of a courtier's, or a statesman's life. Latin Strachey goes to the extent of calling him a snake in the grass. Let us see some of the aspects of the meanness of his character. Bacon was highly opportunist. He was educated in his life by a strong willpower, and in order to get worldly advancement and wealth, he could bend to most slavish behavior, servile, cringing flattery, and treachery. He did not hesitate to exchange his principles and attributes according to the dictated of the moment. He believed in the parliamentary form of government and advocated increased power for the parliament. But when James I came to the throne, in order to please him, he strongly advocated his theory of the divine rights of the king. He changed side and became a true monarchist. personal aggrandizement came uppermost with him. Bacon was raised to the highest position in the land, but even then, ignoring his high status, he could bend to the acceptance of the pettiest sums as bribes. Bacon also lacked humanity. His intellectuality left him emotionally stunted. His commanding intellect and a rich imagination stand out as two prominent personality traits from his essays, but they were conjoined with a strange incapability for emotion or moral earnestness. He used love and friendship, hate and fear, and all personal emotions as tools of his cold, governing mind. His essays on love, friendship, and marriage reveals his cold bloodedness, heading a defense for Bacon. Some critics have tried to defend Bacon from the charge mentioned above about his character. For example, Spedding has suggested that Bacon's faults were the faults of the age. He was merely a child of the age. It was an age in which power was concentrated in the hands of a few. Intrigue and opportunist was the order of the day. Friendship was violated and sides were changed at one's interest demanded. Even the greatest of the land accepted bribes. Living in such an age, Bacon did what others were doing and what he realized was necessary for success. Conclusion. Heading A. The various faults of Bacon should not divert our attention from his real greatness. As revealed in his various writings, we may sum up the whole things about the character and achievements of Bacon in the words of Captain Ricketts. Regarding his work as a whole, we may say that best summing up is expressed in his own words. A bell ringer who is up first to call others to church. In his advancement of learning, he is one of the earliest to seek to consolidate and unify his knowledge. In his essays, he is the pioneer of a clear, sententious English that suggests rather than expound, and blends dignity with familiarity in that pleasing and attractive manner which is the secret of the view of the great essayist. Thanks, best of luck.